Welcome back to the Davy Brown 990 Restoration channel. For those of you new, my name's Barry. Tonight we're going to do a quick video, probably 10 minutes so, putting the internals back inside the casting for the right hand side rockshaft bracket. This is just a spare one I've got, and what I'm doing is I'm going to build it back up just so you guys can maybe get a good idea how it goes back together, so that these parts go back inside that casting and be safe, be put back in the box and be put away into storage for maybe future use. You never know, do you? Right, let's have a look at what parts that we've got to go inside what casting here. This is spare because when I bought the tractor, the top of mine up here, the little tin shield that goes on top of here with the sponge in as an air vent, was rotted out, and I asked Colin up in Aberdeen if he had a spare one, and he sent me the whole bracket, internals, everything, just for that one little tin cover. So that's how I ended up with this one. However, if you go back to this video, when we took this to bits, if you remember, this shaft was very badly bent. It was here, at the bottom of here, it was bent, and it was, and I've asked Colin how, in his opinion, he thinks it got bent. And he says he's seen one or two of them like that, and it happened to be because the tractor driver tries to change the selection during the lift, or with the lift lever in the wrong place, and the hydraulic pressure comes down, pushes the spool or pushes something against this, which causes it to bend here. That's the only feasible explanation we can come up with, because to be honest with you, it took a 6-ton press to straighten that out. So it took quite a bit of force. Right, let's have a look at what bits. Here we've got all our little bits, 2 studs that keep the valve chest on, the screw, blanking screw, which goes into the end of the casting here, on the end of that shaft. We've got our detent, spring and ball, our pin that locks our fork to the shaft, a little screw with a nipple on the end, can we see that? And then that fits into that groove on the shaft to keep this in position. And here we've got the shaft that this little bracket runs on, the activating lever for the spool valve, the shaft that the activating lever sits on. And I've repaired this today because, again, if you go back to a previous video, you'll remember this was snapped off here and was floating about inside this casting. So we took that bits, pushed the pin out the handle, cleaned it all up, popped that back in position, welded it on. Hopefully we're somewhere near with it. We shouldn't be that far away, because I actually photographed this with the handle before I took it to pieces, and it should be somewhere like that at about what we call about 7 o'clock on the clock face. Right, let's put this back together. Shouldn't take well long, 10 minutes or so, we'll see. Let's crack on. Okay, first thing we're going to do, we're going to put a bit of grease in here. Everything gets covered in grease because we don't know, again, this is just going to go back into storage. Don't know how long it's going to be. First piece back in, the shaft that was bent. Now, inside this protrusion here, there's a pocket. See? There's a pocket in there for that end of the shaft to go into, because you've got to put the shaft in that way and then put it in there. Let's turn this around. There's also a cut out in the casting here for this arm to fit into. So you pop it in place with the cam lobe down. Slide it along till the cam lobe comes into this open area, and then turn it up like that. Make sure that it's in. Next little job we've got is to put our little activating lever on. Have a bit of grease. As I say, everything's just getting covered in grease. Right. You've got to fiddle with that arm a bit until you can get it in position where everything can be put together. Right, and it goes with the nut in the screwdriver slot facing down, because obviously you've got your valve chest sitting on here on the top. Okay, next little thing, spring and the ball goes down this hole, this hole here. This is your dowel hole for your valve chest. This is the threaded hole for your studs. So the detent spring goes into that hole there. Push it down to the bottom. A little bit of grease on the ball. Okay. Pop that in, down to the bottom. Okay, so we've got our spool activating arm in, our little cam in. What we can do now, we can pop this little screw in. I've just got to whack a bit of grease into that hole. I'm going to pop this screw in, tighten it down. And that'll keep that in position, but continue to allow it to rotate. Next thing in is the control arm that controls the little cradle for that. Again, plenty grease all over it. That goes in that direction. So you pop it through the hole, turn it over, slide it right in to the top. Okay? Now, we've greased our control fork up, covered that. The hole nearer the top faces forward. That pops over the arm like that. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm just going to whack some more grease. That felt dry there. Put a bit of grease on there. That's better. We've now got to put the shaft in. The flat on the shaft is to slide that way over the top of the ball, and then you rotate the shaft to trap the ball underneath. These are the detent grooves in here, and you'll feel the ball drop into these as the shaft enters that hole. That's how you know your detent ball is in the right place. So let's have a look. Okay, Now, turn that so that flat faces down, like so. I'm going to use a screwdriver, go down top of the bowl, push it down into position, slide the shaft in like that. It traps the ball. We can then come in from this end and we can rotate that shaft with a screwdriver slot, and you'll feel it click. You feel it click as the ball comes off the flat onto the circumference. And then we just pop it in a little bit further. And we check down the side and we'll find what balls actually come back out. So that we'll do it again. Slide it back out to there, that'll do it. Bowl down the hole, push it down, put the flat facing down, push the spring into position. Now, that's better. No ball in the hole. Don't know if you can see down there, but there's not. No ball in the hole. Put the screwdriver back in there. Rotate it. Push that in. Now I need to try and line up the hole here with the hole in the shaft. To do that, have I got a nail? I've got a nail. Put a bit of grease on the nail. Right. And then we need the roll pin and a hammer. Trying to keep my hands clean a bit. Well, if you can do that working with grease, huh? Can you think you can do that? So I'll get my roll pin, pop that in there. And I have here a punch. There we go, that'll do it. Now, let's test our little repair today. So we're gonna just pop our hand up. Tell you what, let's get a bit of gunge on there. There, as I say, there's a shield, a metal shield from here, screws into here, covers these three holes, because these three holes are breathers. There should be a sponge sitting in here with your metal shield on top. That might go through it. Right. So, let's just okay, that's it back together. You can see and you can feel in here the detent working down the hole. Everything's free. Brilliant. We'll pop the little blanking screw back in that side, just to control the that shaft. Oh, that's if I can get it in. There we go. Now, that shaft needs to be fully that way. Screw that in till it touches. That'll do it. And then we've got a little bit of grease on these, and we'll just thread them into there so they don't get lost. Wait a minute, there we go. Okay, put that nut on there so we don't lose that either. Right, that's all the components back in that we have for that. Right guys, that's it for today. Quick little video just to show you how the internals went back in. For me, peace of mind knowing that all the bits are there, it'll go away safely, wrapped up in that red box. As always, thanks very much for visiting. Your time is always greatly appreciated when you come to see what we're up to. But remember, don't overthink it. It's only nuts and bolts. And we'll catch you in the next one. Ta-da now.